Hi there, how are you? Kasha here, and I wanted to do this live today talking about what happens to our loved ones when they decide to reincarnate. Because believe it or not, I've had I think 5 people in the last few days asking me this. So I thought I'll do a video on it, possibly a podcast episode as well. So in case if you're wondering or perhaps even worry about whether you'll be able to still contact, communicate, feel the presence of your loved ones when they've crossed over, grandma, grandfather, whoever has crossed over once when they decide to reincarnate again. So this is how I was shown what happens. Now, again, you know that anything that I say, anything that I guess anyone tells you, always put it through your own filter. Because believe it or not, as many people as there are, that's how many opinions you will get. It's kind of like, when the police gets to an accident scene and there's 5 witnesses and they interview the 5 witnesses, each one will give them a different version and each one will swear, this is what I saw, this is the truth. So it's a little bit like that as well. We're all, tapping into the same source, but the way we receive messages is in a very different way. So for some of us, it's, symbols. For some of us, we see dead people, so to speak. Some get, more like full downloads. Sometimes we just get pictures and we have to kind of work out, what is going on. So depending on who you ask, this question will be answered differently. But here is how I received the answer. And if you are joining me live, by the way, please come and say hi, because I can't see who's here. And I would love to say hello, especially if it's your first time. I want to make sure that you feel very welcome here. And if you're watching this on replay, then and you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below this video, like as if you were watching live. Okay, now Facebook is a bit cheeky, so love Facebook. They are a little bit cheeky, so I don't see who's here, who's not. Sometimes comments don't even pop up. So if I don't answer your comment, I will make sure to check it when I finish. Okay, so here's what I was shown when it comes to, can I still communicate with my loved one when they decide to reincarnate? Okay, so I'm going to tell you exactly what I saw, and then I'll explain it if you find it really hard to wrap your head around it. So what I was shown is kind of like, when you put perfume on yourself and you walk into a room and then you walk past a few people and then you leave the room. You are not in that room anymore, but the smell of your perfume, the scent stays, right? And people will sort of like, oh wow, I love that perfume. I wonder what she's wearing, right? So the scent is the essence of the soul, that human, right? So I guess when your loved one, let's say Uncle Bob has crossed over and you've been able to communicate, and maybe one of your readings, the medium told you that Uncle Bob is thinking of reincarnating and he's just deciding, what baby to take. So he might pop up somewhere in your family. And then you go, wow, will I still be able to connect with him? Or is that it, right? Because as humans, we think we can be in one place, but when we leave that place, we can't be there anymore because we've left the place. So here's what happens, okay, it's a little bit different across the veil. Like I said, the scent, the essence of the human that you knew, so your Uncle Bob, will remain up there, so you can still chat to them, you can still connect, a medium will still be able to bring him across so you can talk. However, the soul is the one that gets reincarnated, the soul. Okay, another way of looking at it is, and this was another way that it was shown to me, is that let's say you're playing Monopoly or, whatever, any game where you can be kicked out while everyone else still plays. So you're in this game and you're playing, and then let's say you lose. So you go like, okay, I'm going to sit the next few rounds out till you guys finish, right? And then we can play another round. So that's like, you died, you got cross, the veil, and you're waiting. And everyone else still on Earth, is playing. And then they start a new round, so you join in again. So you're in the game per se, right? Like you are playing. But let's say someone in the kitchen calls, hey, do you want some hot chocolate, right? And you don't have to get up and go into the kitchen. You can hear them, so you can answer, right? And you can say, whatever, yes, and they will hear you. So even though you're not in the room with them, but they can still hear you. You're in the game, but they can still hear you. And so that's the same way. So the best way I can explain this to you is, don't worry. Even if Uncle Bob decides to reincarnate, it's not really Uncle Bob. His soul will reincarnate, because that soul is eternal. It's universal. The soul is the one that recycles. What stays up there is the human, right? The human that we connect with. So one day we'll die, we'll cross over, and the people that will remain here will be able to talk to you, but your soul will reincarnate again. And if it reincarnates, so this is another thing that happens. If Uncle Bob decides to reincarnate, and let's say your best friend is having a baby, or your sister-in-law is having a baby, and the soul decides to reincarnate into that little baby, you might find that this baby, as it grows up, it will be very fond of you. For some reason, it will cry when it sees everyone else, but with you, it will just adore you. And maybe the baby will even show certain things where you're like, oh my God, my uncle used to say this, my uncle used to do that, right? So these familiarities, it's like the soul is letting you know they're still around, okay? They're still around. So the essence stays there. You can still connect, you can still talk. I'm not sure whether it's fainter, whether it's less sort of, like as if someone was calling you from a distance, sort of thing, as opposed to being more closer. That's a thing that wasn't shown to me, but what was shown to me is that you can still communicate with them. So I hope this answered that question, because I know that has been very popular in the last few days. And if you have any questions following what I just said, please feel free to leave the questions below, maybe tag me. That usually helps. And other than that, I can't wait to chat to you again. See you.